Vivian stood tall, a glass of wine in one hand, her phone gripped tightly in the other, poised to unveil the ultimate betrayal. Her husband, Julian, sat across from her, the tension thick in the air. He hadn't realized it yet, but tonight, everything was about to change. As the clock struck 9, the doorbell rang. Julian's face went pale when he saw her assistant, Imogen, standing in the doorway, invitation in hand. The silence between them was deafening.
Lipstick on my cup. Vivian Conrad didn't suspect. She knew. The way intuition settles in a woman's bones is impossible to explain to someone who's never felt it. It arrives like a whisper, featherlight against the nape of your neck, then grows. Vivian had known for 17 days before she allowed herself to admit it. Before Julian, she could spot a lie at 20 paces. In her previous life, she'd built and destroyed fashion careers with nothing but a raised eyebrow and well-placed phone call. But marriage had softened her edges. By design, she now realized. His design. "Working late again?" she asked, watching him button his shirt in their bedroom mirror. He didn't turn. Inventory nightmare. Rodriguez screwed up the paperwork on the Maseratis. His cologne smelled different lately. Not new, just more. As if he'd started doubling the dose. Men only change their scent rituals for one reason. "Take a jacket. It's supposed to rain." He kissed the top of her head, a habit that once made her feel cherished, but now left her skin crawling. Obligation kisses, the kind you give a pet. When the front door closed, Vivian poured herself a bourbon and walked barefoot to her study. She flipped open the leather portfolio marked Julian's Quarterly Reviews, a relic from when she still managed his books, and removed the papers she'd been collecting. A hotel receipt folded into his wallet, a screenshot of a text notification that had flashed across his phone. "Miss you already." Last night was, and her favorite, a photograph of her own coffee cup sitting on his office desk during a surprise visit last week, bearing the unmistakable crescent of coral lipstick, a shade Vivian would never wear. She hadn't confronted him then, hadn't raised her voice. She'd merely taken out her phone, snapped a picture, smiled, and left. Because pure rage is quiet, and Vivian was nothing if not pure. "Lipstick on my cup," she whispered, running a finger along the photograph. "That was your first mistake." The transformation happened gradually, then suddenly, like bankruptcy or sunrise. Vivian started waking earlier, running 3 miles along Biscayne Bay while Miami was still cool and gray. She called her old contacts in New York, casual conversations that ended with, "We've missed you in the industry," and "Don't be a stranger." She converted Julian's emergency credit card into a private checking account with a healthy opening balance. And she started dressing like herself again. Not Julian's wife, Vivian Conrad, the woman who once made Anna Wintour wait 7 minutes for a meeting. The morning she found another woman's earring under their bed, she made an appointment with her old salon and had them restore her signature bob, precision-cut obsidian that swung just below her jawline. "Whoever she is," her stylist whispered, sweeping up the evidence of Vivian's suburban compromise, "she's not worth the inches you've lost." That night, Julian noticed. "Your hair." He frowned, wine glass halfway to his lips. "It's different." "It's me," she corrected. "I'm different." He nodded absently, already checking his phone beneath the table. She let him. Every distraction was a gift now. Time to arrange the pieces of his undoing. The invitation came by courier, cream cardstock in a black envelope, hand-delivered to both recipients. 5 years of marriage deserves celebration. Join me for an intimate dinner. Cocktails at 8, confessions at 9. She addressed Julian's to his office. The other went to Imogen, his assistant. 22, long legs and a laugh like champagne bubbles. Smart enough to sleep with the boss, not smart enough to cover her tracks. Vivian spent the day transforming their dining room. Crystal stemware, floating candles, a string quartet's worth of violins playing softly through hidden speakers. She wore a dress the color of arterial blood, cut low in the back, stopping just where suggestion becomes promise. At 7:58, she checked the hidden cameras, one behind the orchids, one nestled in the bookshelf, another disguised in an art installation. Her phone was ready, Instagram Live just a button away. Julian arrived first. He looked surprised by the effort, but pleased. He always did like trophies. "You look incredible," he said, hands finding her waist. "Is this all for our anniversary?" Vivian let herself smile, genuine, almost warm. "It's for exactly who deserves it." The doorbell rang at 8:17, later than invited, early enough to seem accidental. Julian's confusion when Imogen appeared in the doorway was almost worth the past 5 years. Almost. "Ms. Thorne," he managed, voice tight. "What are you doing here?" Imogen clutched her own invitation, eyes darting between them. I was invited." "For dinner?" Vivian's smile never faltered. "And right on time. I was just decanting the wine. Julian, darling, would you help her with her coat?" The beauty of revenge isn't in its execution, but in its patience. Vivian served roast duck with cherry reduction. Poured wine worth more than Imogen's monthly salary. She asked thoughtful questions about the dealership, the Maserati delivery issues, Imogen's background in business administration. They both relaxed by dessert. That's when Vivian stood, tapping her glass with a silver spoon. "To anniversaries," she said, lifting her glass. 5 years of building Julian's empire, of supporting his dreams, of washing his shirts and finding other women's perfume. The blood drained from Julian's face. Imogen's eyes went wide. "To youth," Vivian continued, her voice like silk wrapping around a knife. "To 22-year-old assistants who drink from other women's cups and leave their earrings under marital beds." With one fluid motion, she unlocked her phone, tapped the screen twice, and most importantly, to the 14,000 people now watching this dinner live from my Instagram account. Julian lunged for the phone. "Vivian, what the hell?" "The funny thing about building someone's empire," she said, stepping calmly out of reach, "is that you sign a lot of paperwork along the way, including majority ownership documents, which I did back when you needed my inheritance to expand the dealerships. I believed in you." She turned to look directly into the camera hidden in the bookshelf. "I'll be taking 60% of Conquest Luxury Motors in the divorce. My attorney has already filed the paperwork, another surprise for tonight. But don't worry, Julian. I'm sure Imogen will help you rebuild. She seems very supportive." The divorce was efficient. Julian's attorney called it unconventional. Vivian called it fair, which meant she took everything the prenup entitled her to, plus damages for emotional distress documented in the viral video that had now been viewed 2.7 million times. She didn't stay in Miami. There was nothing there but heat and memories that felt increasingly like someone else's life. New York welcomed her back like she'd never left. Fashion Week put her front row. 3 publishing houses approached her about a memoir. Her podcast, Lipstick on My Cup, hit the top 10 on Apple within 2 weeks. 6 months later, her phone rang with Julian's number. "I miss you," he said, voice breaking. "I made a mistake, the worst mistake." Vivian sat on her balcony overlooking Central Park, wrapped in cashmere against the October chill. "No," she said softly, "your worst mistake was thinking I'd break, that I'd cry and beg and give you the satisfaction of destroying me." She could hear him breathing, waiting for hope. 5 years ago, she would have offered it. "Goodbye, Julian." She deleted his number and turned back to her laptop. The brand partnership contracts needed reviewing. Her story had become something bigger than revenge. It had become inspiration. Women all over the country were finding their own power in her refusal to collapse. They sent messages daily. I left him. I started over. I remembered who I was. Vivian sipped her bourbon, savoring the burn, the taste of consequence, of reclamation, of a woman who had walked through fire and emerged, not unburned, but forged into something magnificent. In Miami, Julian was stuck in traffic when he saw it. The billboard featuring his ex-wife, elegant in black, holding a coffee cup smeared with coral lipstick. The text read simply, "Lipstick on my cup was your first mistake." Below it, in smaller letters, "Vivian Conrad, reclaim your story." He stared so long that someone honked behind him. By the time he looked away, something essential had changed in his understanding of what he'd lost. Meanwhile, Vivian was boarding a flight to Paris. She had a fashion house to rebuild and a legacy to create, one that had nothing to do with the men who'd underestimated her, and everything to do with the woman she'd remembered she was.
If you enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications.